And it's just the way that God is. So David, as he got closer to being like God, he dealt more in love and mercy and compassion. And he wanted to get closer to the character of God. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, "Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about your neck and write them upon the table of your heart." So you got mercy and truth. God's saying you put it around your neck and you bind them in your heart. Those two will bring you closer to God than you could ever imagine. If you can express mercy, you will not harbor anger and hatred. The two will not dwell with one another. If you have anger issues inside of you, or if you are harboring resentment against someone, go to God and ask Him to give you the gift to express mercy and compassion. Anger will leave. The two cannot live together. And every time this happens to you, if you will take that approach to God, He will grant you a greater understanding of how to live within the confines of mercy. So that when you're attacked next time, you will not absorb the pain. It will be reflected from you. Because you carry the Spirit of God, which is like a shield. And it can't penetrate your heart. Because this verse says, "Let mercy and truth, let them not forsake you. Bind them around your neck and write them upon the table of your heart." When you see the table, it's referring to like the table of stone. So if you put these two and they're in your heart, it's like stone there. That can't be removed, it can't be altered, and it can't be changed. When something comes after you, it reflects against rock, against stone, and that heart ain't going to move. It's fixed on God. And that mercy, like He gives to us, is now expressed to those who come against you. Proverbs chapter 11. Proverbs chapter 11. Verse 17. "The merciful man does good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubles his own flesh." That's what I was saying a few minutes ago. The two can't dwell together. If you can express mercy, you won't have that troubled soul. If you can express mercy, you find peace. Now, everybody around you is trying to hurt you. They're going to be in turmoil. They're going to be upset. And it seems like the more you treat them with kindness, the madder they get. But you will still have peace because you have the mercy and the love of God. Chapter 14. Proverbs chapter 14. Verse 21. Chapter 14, verse 21. "He that despises his neighbor sins, but he that has mercy on the poor, happy is he." Remember the people I talked about who came into church? See what God says? And that's why I'm excited for you. We need to find y'all can help me find a better word than being proud. Because I was just excited to see the mercy, the love, and the compassion you show those individuals. So, and this is what God's saying, that if we have mercy on the poor, God is happy. Verse 22 says, "They do not err that devise evil. Do they not err that devise evil? But mercy and truth shall be them that devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tends only to penury." Or if all you're going to do is talk bad about somebody, you can't be developing good fruits. And when you have that against somebody, then you're not treating your neighbor with mercy and compassion, and you're not doing your soul any good. And people don't realize that the more you harbor that kind of anger, you hurt yourself. You don't hurt the others. You're hurting yourself. And so forgiveness has got to be our byword. I won't turn here, but write this down just for referring sake. Hopefully you'll read it during the week. Matthew 23, verse 23. Talks about the Pharisees, that they tithed on every ounce that they did. They did the weightier. They did all the things that they lived to the letter of the law. But Jesus says, "But you have forgotten the important thing, the weightier matters of the law," He says, in which is the weightier matters of the law, which is what? Love, mercy, and compassion. So you don't have those. He says, but you so focused on this other stuff. Without these, he says, these are the important issues. If you dwell on mercy, truth, you can express compassion to others. He will help you walk within the bounds of the confines of walking within the spirit of the law. Not just the letter, but the spirit of the law. There's a psalm that you might want to read that's in our songbook. So, His mercy endures forever. Is that the title? Mercy never fails. Ask the music man. His mercy never fails. Psalm 136. I won't go through that, but in every single verse says that His mercy never fails. Says about what God is. His mercy never fails. So it's always true. Wouldn't it be incredible that God can look to us and He has a psalm written for us? We're in the millennial reign. He calls you to the throne and says, look, I wrote this psalm about you. And at the end of every verse, it says, His mercy never fails. And it's you. Because your mercy never fails. See, what greater thing can God say about us? David wrote a whole psalm that says all these things about God, and he said, but despite it all, His mercy never fails. Isaiah 57. Just a couple more scriptures, and we'll be wrapping it up. Isaiah chapter 57. If you went through a concordance, you'd find a lot more than I'm giving you here. I just wanted to touch on some of them here that are dealing with the context and the confines of what the message is today, and apply those to us, because throughout the whole scripture you'll find mercy and merciful throughout. Right? Hebrews 57. Hebrews 57. If you find a Hebrews 57, let me know. Isaiah 57. My mind's on another scripture when I was thinking just now. Isaiah 57, verse 1. The righteous perish, and no man lays it to heart, and merciful men are taken away, and none considers that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. You know what God just said there? In God's mercy, He's telling us, you know what He's going to do? He's going to let some people go to sleep. Now, for you and I, we're looking at this like, oh, we just lost brother so-and-so. But God's telling us, out of His mercy, it says, they're taken away, none considers, nobody considers this, He says, that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. Now, there's one more aspect to that, in understanding duality. Remember what God went through when He says, mark those that cry and sigh for the abominations? God's saying that He can take you away from all of that. He says, now He wants you to consider it. He says, because nobody considers this. But in God's mercy, He considers the righteous and takes you away from the evil that's about to come. Now, I thought about that in those two ways. The last generation. The Bible puts it in this fashion. And this generation shall not pass until the end comes. We have been watching for the last, whatever this generation is, and God says 70 years, perhaps 80. At least 70 years, which is given to mankind. That generation, when we look back at that generation of your grandparents or your parents, there's a heart to those people. There's a heart of wholesomeness. You listen to their way they brought up. They endured things. They cry for the evils they see out here. You know, they feel horrible to see the children the way that they're brought up. That generation is passing. And God's saying, I want you to think about this, He says, because you don't think about this. He says, I'm letting them sleep because I'm having mercy on them, because I don't want them to see the filth, the rotten sickness that's coming to this earth because they had a different heart. And God says, I put them aside. I'm letting them sleep so they don't have to go through that horrible garbage that's about to overcome this world. What a merciful thing God has. And now we don't think about it in that fashion. We think sometimes, oh, we lost so-and-so. But God says, you ain't lost nothing. I put them aside to protect them. I don't want them to see what they're going to see, because it's going to be so rotten and vile. And He's telling that you and I, that last generation, have to overcome all that. That means to overcome all that, we're going to have to focus on mercy, compassion, and forgiveness, because it's going to be so rotten, it's going to turn your heart to evil if you're not careful. And so you and I are going through a training ground right now. God's preparing us. He's letting us to go through attacks, through persecution, to strengthen us to be ready when those things happen. So why? So that we can show mercy and compassion. And when He looks down on us, if you want to go back into Matthew 24, it says, but for the elect's sake, because God has put inside of you and I, and all of God's people, in all the groups, and I'm sorry, there's no one group better than another. I know lots of churches like to say, we're the only church. Well, there's only one body. It's called the body of Jesus Christ. And nobody's better than anybody else. God is not a respecter of persons. God will look down on you because He has looked in your heart and seen what it says here for merciful, the character of God expressed in His people. Because He has seen that, He will cut time short. He will put you aside. He will protect you. He will put that mark on your forehead. And that slaughter will come. The end will close. And you will be converted to a spirit being. But we have to have mercy to be able to do it. Think about those scriptures and focus on the mercy of God. And then live it.